Yo, what is going on, everybody? This is Jay Grind on the Jay Grind podcast. You already know BXB in here. So today, for tonight, we have a special guest. We have Georgetta Bugs.
Woohoo!
All right. So welcome, Georgetta Bugs. I'm grateful to have you here on the podcast. So, the fans and the audience want to know, tell them a little bit about yourself.
So I'm coming from Memphis, Tennessee. Shout out to the 901. Been living in New York City, well, Queens, New York, Brooklyn for the past 7 years. My background is a lot of theater. I've done commercial work. I've studied at the Castillo Theater. I think it's around 42nd Street. Still don't really know my way around yet, but neither here nor there. I've done short films, feature films, improv, and I'm just like constantly trying to like hone my craft and just trying to like really put my best foot forward um, with my discipline, pretty much.
All right. So I have a couple questions. Just you speaking about that. What got you into acting? Where
My
did it
grandmother,
start?
my maternal grandmother. Oh, I'm
Hmm.
sorry.
No, I'm saying, where did it start? No, it's okay.
Oh, no, it started with my maternal grandmother. She wanted to be an actress. And I remember, I think I was like 3 or 4. She wanted to put me in acting lessons, and she talked to my mom about it. My mom was very hesitant. She was like, "Oh, I don't really think that's good for her." And my grandmother was like, "She's super animated. This is a good way for her to express herself and like really build her creativity or whatever." So that never happened until I was probably like 12. I started doing like school productions, and I was like, man, like, mom, like, I really want to take some acting classes. Can we like look for some acting classes? And she was like, well, if it's within the price range or whatever. So shout out to Memphis Black Arts Alliance, located in South Memphis. That's where I got my first taste of acting, my first taste of like what it is to be on stage. Shout out to my first acting teacher. Well, really, my second acting teacher. I would say my mother is my first acting teacher, but my second acting teacher, Miss Naomi Moody. She is a goat. All right, she's traveled the world, and I remember my first acting lesson with her. She she wanted everyone to go to the center of like the the little room that we were in. It was like a black box theater, and she wanted everyone to introduce themselves. I was in seventh grade. So I was kind of like, like when you're like 12, 13, you're shy and like kind of awkward in a sense, and you don't really know what's going on, even though you probably think you do. Anywho, the first exercise was to go on in the center, say your name, your age, and what school you go to and what grade you're in. And I was like, hi, my name is Georgetta Bugs. I'm in seventh grade. I go to White Station High. And the first, she just cut me off. She was like, slow down. And that was really my first lesson of just like projection and making sure that I'm heard. Like that was like the most important lesson I learned in acting. Make sure your voice is heard.
Hmm. So why was your mom hesitant in the beginning?
Well, I think you always hear about kind of the world of Hollywood and child actors and like, the rejection. And, I was a small kid of color, and she knew what came with that. And she still to this day talks about it. Even me being grown, she still talks about, the stigmas that uh, actors of color have to face. And she just never wanted me to get too tied up into it. If you really look at the Hollywood actors that were coming up, not I won't say any names, and you kind of like follow behind them, they've had like really rough upbringings. Like the industry is like a dog eat dog world out there. And I think that was something that she was really hesitant for me to experience at such a young age, because I remember my first like real taste of rejection. That hurt. And she was like, if this is what you want to do, you really have to be willing to constantly hear the word no, which I don't take personally anymore. But that was the main thing. I hope I'm not talking too much about.
No,
you
this is
know?
this is this
yeah.
is your time to shine. I'm getting to know your why, and this is your why.
Yeah.
And people, this is who. When people see your page and they see all of the things that you got going on, and sometimes what happens is that they'll see you and say, "Oh, she's doing such an amazing job," but not knowing where it all started from. So you're doing a great
Right.
job. So continue talking on. This is what people want to know. And I think this is something that, could definitely push you further because this is just a different version of you that people probably don't see every day. So knowing your why,
Right.
so these stigmas, and as a black woman, how does it feel being an actress as a black woman in the industry? What are the pros and cons to it and your experiences?
Um, the pros are, from my personal experience, is that sometimes that's what they really look for. The industry is slowly but surely changing. So there are people who are fighting, like we have the Viola Davises and the Taraji P. Hensons, and even dating way back to that, to the Hattie McDaniel, like, her just gracing the stage of the Academy Awards and winning it. So it's just breaking barriers down. So I think that's a pro, in a sense of, whenever I do make it, I'm opening doors for more people who look like me, who are my same complexion, who are, because I'm not like the industry standard of size 2, light skin, curly hair. And so I think that is a pro. A con would be just kind of trying to break down barriers. I try to break them down every day. It's always, I always, and my mom and I always talk about this, never trying to get typecast with the stereotypical role as what society will view a black woman. So I would say that that would be the con of the industry. Well, really not so much the industry, but my own personal experience. I remember one time, this was maybe when I like first moved here. I got a message off of Backstage, and I applied to this audition, and the director wrote me back, and I will never forget this. The first thing he said, the first thing that I was reading off of it was, I need you to do this really ghetto style. It wasn't like, use colloquialism. It wasn't any of that. He literally said ghetto style. I remember I was in a play as well. Won't say the name of the play, and the director pulls me to the side, and the character really fit my description, to be honest with you. It was, I played a young lady in her like mid 20s, pregnant, from the South, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is me all day. And he pulls me to the side and he was like, you know um I don't really know how to put this, but I need you to kind of be a little bit more hood with your lines. And I was like, thinking back on it, I'm like, it doesn't, like the description, the character description, and like the character development, it didn't really, in my opinion, call for any of that. But I would say that's the cons, that, it's still, people perceive black women, not all, but in a certain light. And we're kind of stuck, or I'm kind of stuck at the time between a rock and a hard place, trying to figure out, well, should I just kind of like do it because it is the director's note and this is his vision. So yeah, I would say those are the pros and cons of it.
Okay, so what are your goals? I mean, as an actress, how many films have you been in?
Oh, I don't really know. um I have no idea how many films I've been in. I've done enough to have, I've done more than 30. I will say that, but about 30 are listed on my IMBD page. But some of them aren't listed. I know my mother's gonna kill me because I keep saying so I'm gonna like try not to say. So I've done quite a few films that you guys can look at. There's a film called Cognate. It's on Apple TV. I have a few films on Tubi. Is it called Tubi TV? I hate to say it, but yeah. And I have one film on Amazon Prime called Coming to Africa. Not coming to America, but coming to Africa to check out. I have two lines in that film. So my goal is just to continue to act, continue to um, uh, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought, but continue to really just strive to be the better version of me, better than what I was yesterday, better than what I am today, and just kind of moving forward. And honestly, I like to work with like minded people. I like to work with people who are talented, but also people who are, hustle. So that's another goal that I have, is to rub elbows with people who are just as hungry as I am.
So let's talk about that. Like, Is that even difficult to find other actors and actresses to work with? Since you
Absolutely.
have the experience, why is this so difficult?
I think people love the idea of it, um, but they don't necessarily love the actual action behind doing everything. But I will say, yes, it is difficult. I mean, it's easy for people to say, yeah, I'll come over, I'll do this and that, but there's no like necessarily follow up. I've run into a lot of people like that, regardless if they're actors or writers or directors or whatever. I think this industry collectively, when you're coming up, you need to build some sort of solidified community,
Mm,
whether it's actors or writers or whatever. You need to have some sort of foundation. And I think that, to answer the question, people love the result, but they don't really love the in between, if you know what I mean. Like they just want to get to where it's glorified and it's out for the public viewing. And, we have like, not necessarily like press conferences, but, there's a lot of advertisement and that's what they love. But, from point A to point B, or really to point A to point C, they won't do any of the B, if that makes sense.
mm. Okay, so what would you tell a young actor or actress that is trying to get into the business? Um, Say if they're trying to work with the biggest director, what would you tell them?
I will say definitely create your own work. No just means next opportunity. Know your type in terms of what will you likely be cast for. Get good headshots. Invest in yourself as an artist in terms of your real, taking good acting classes, making sure that your mind is right. So getting right with whatever higher power that you feel closest to, whether it's God or the universe. And I feel like most importantly, really getting to know who you are, because most definitely people will try to tell you who you are as you come up or what you should and shouldn't be doing. So, make a long story short, believe in yourself, lock in with God, and invest. And don't take no personally. No just means next opportunity. And the next opportunity will definitely be for you.
Love it. So, as an actress, what is something that you're currently working on right now that people
Currently
want to know?
working on, right. I'm currently working on just continuing to audition. I will say that I've done pretty good for myself this past 6 months, almost 6 months, in terms of booking. So I would like to continue that kind of like booking process. But currently, I'm not working on anything. But I do have, tomorrow's the last day actually. I do have a billboard in Times Square that you can see me. But I don't. When will this air?
What the podcast?
This podcast, this
Oh,
episode.
it's gonna air. Yeah, I can't tell everybody. It's gonna air
Okay, well,
yeah, yeah.
right. But I do have some things coming up. I did a commercial for Hands Come Bank, so hopefully I will that will come out soon. I'm in Times Square, and I'm also I don't know whether to say this or not because it hasn't come out, but I will say something. I did book a TV show on ID Discovery,
Oh, nice,
and that's it. Yes,
nice,
and
nice.
that's it. And I'm sure that I think that will be out either late summer or early fall.
Okay, okay, okay.
Oh
So
wait, I am working on something.
tell them what you're working on.
I Senior Living 2, season 2, with some special guests who might be on this podcast right now hosting. But Senior Living, I did not forget about any of y'all. I've just been busy working. So yes, that's what I'm working on currently.
Okay, okay. So as busy as you are, right? And someone might tell you, but you're not at a certain level in your career. I'm trying to, why should I work with other actors and actresses if I can just make my way to the top by one high director? What would you say to that?
I would say that at the end of the day, I feel as though collectively I can get to where you want to be. It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, but it will definitely come. And I've had people tell me that before, or have said it behind my back. And I will say this, just a general statement that anyone who's ever said that, I've definitely done more than them. I'm just saying. But that's what I would tell them,
Mm.
you know.
Why do people have that idea like they're just trying to get to this top level? I know you said earlier about, people not really trying to put in the work and the effort, but what is this idea of being on this big production when, like you said, you can build a community?
I think it's easier to work with someone like a Tyler Perry or a Lee Daniels because they're already established. You know, there's that trust that's already there. Compared to me, where there's no trust. You know, I could do uh, a new series tomorrow and it not go anywhere, but 5 years down the line, I could literally be not necessarily the next Issa Rae, but like have that status. So I think that's where a lot of disconnect is. More people have more trust in people who are already established than people who are just kind of starting out or have just like a few credits to their name, um, or whatever. But I think in order to get to that, you do have to have a solidified community of writers and actors, singers, rappers, or whoever. Because at the end of the day, one thing I learned is you don't know who knows who.
I agree. So then, do you think what's the difference between you and a Tyler Perry?
I think the only difference is, and I can boldly say this, is opportunity.
Why?
That's it. It's just opportunity. I really do. But I've always felt that way. I feel like the only thing that's stopping me, really anyone who I've worked with, including you who have that passion and hustle and grind, I think the only thing that's stopping us is opportunity. And once we get that opportunity, I feel as though we would have, unfortunately, that respect of, oh, now I want to work with the Georgetta Bugs or the Jay Grind.
Mm. But do you think Tyler Perry will want to work with someone like that? Would you want to
With,
work with somebody like
like, what
that?
do you mean?
Like, would you want to work with somebody
In
that's
terms,
only trying to work with you because you're established? Is it wrong?
that's a great question. And I've talked to a lot of people about that. Not necessarily. It depends on, I feel like me, okay. It depends on how you go about it. I think that you have to have a boundary with that person. For instance, if you are working on major, like if I'm a rapper and you have this major record label, right? Why wouldn't I want to take that opportunity to present myself in a way towards you for you to help me get put on or for you to help uplift me or not uplift, but next level me? You know what I mean? I don't necessarily think that's wrong because the motive isn't off. But if it's like, oh, I want to work with Jay Grind, I want to get in Jay Grind's presence because as soon as I get to the top, I'm gonna knock him off because he ain't really about nothing, then that's like, I would say that that's a wrong statement. But I think within our community, in our circle, I wouldn't say yes and I wouldn't say no. I
Why?
think it's hard because, you know, I've dealt with stuff like that before where I feel like people rub elbows with me. Oddly enough, the irony of it is I might, um, present myself in that matter, but I can't really change anyone's life like that. But I've dealt with that personally, where people have tried to rub elbows with me so I could get them to the next level or get them on this set or whatever. I do feel like that's wrong because it's like, I feel like you're taking advantage of me. But I think I just kind of contradicted what I said. I think it depends on how you look at it. What do you think?
Well, I mean, it's not. I mean, it's on my show. I just kind of would say, I guess it depends on your motive. Maybe there isn't really
Yeah.
a way to. Maybe I don't want to build with you. Maybe I just want you to send me somewhere and I just don't talk to you again. Um,
But
that's
wouldn't that
all.
be a slap in the face to you?
Of course, but I believe that trying to get to Tyler Perry with not even half of what you have would not get you looked at. I'm sorry. I
Hmm.
personally believe like if I come to you and Tyler Perry sees me, well, not personally me, but see someone that's just only trying to get there with no resume, with no reel, with no sort of work. He's not trying to work with you at all. No matter how much of a
Hmm.
nice person he is,
Hello.
because you have nothing
That
to
you
benefit
just
him.
yes. You know what? Scratch what I just said because I did say that one time to someone. Um, Basically, like you said, I think that's where you separate the boys from the men. When a person with a resume, as not necessarily as long as mine, but you got some sort of credits, then it's like, okay, I can help you. But a person with, like you said, they don't have too much action behind what they're trying to do, then it's like, okay, now I'm looking at you as an opportunist because you're not really out here trying to do anything. Is that what you meant? Because that's how I kind of took it.
Well, I mean, they're trying to maybe get rich fast or get fame faster than, obviously,
Yes.
Tyler Perry was homeless at one point. So I'm
Yes,
just
he
using him
was.
as a great example, but now he's at a point where if he's going to hire artists, they all have to benefit him as well.
Hmm. Right, right, right.
He hired Michael Jai White. Michael Jai White's been in the business for a very long time. I'm just using him as an
Hmm.
example because he's one of my favorite actors. But he
Hmm.
like if Michael Jai White was the Michael Jai White back in 1980, he wouldn't be on a Tyler Perry show today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You think about how long these people been in it, and plus, you want to have a network of people you can rely on because I think, and I'm sure you would say like, well, hmm, I know Georgetta already. I've had a relationship. I've had a work relationship with her. We've been in films together. I like her work ethic. I'm not looking for nobody else. You're the person I'm gonna put on. And I think a lot of people are missing that point. They look at celebrities and they think that they're just gonna be put on with no network. So and it's all about who you know and your network and your connection. So I
Completely
think
agree.
yeah, so that's why I wanted to ask you your point of view and that view. But this is really all about you, so really just I'm glad I could chime in with that. But I want to ask you something too. How are you able to push yourself knowing all of this is happening?
With just people trying to use me or
Well,
just
like as
life in
an
general?
actress, how are you able to push yourself, motivate yourself, or find ways to continue to reinvent yourself, regardless of the obstacles that come within the industry?
It's crazy you asked me that because I actually had a friend ask me that last night. He asked me how do I stay so optimistic, and to really answer the question is the 5-year old Georgetta is happy where the adult Georgetta is. That gives me enough motivation to keep going, is not to let her down because I can't. It's I don't really know how to say it. Like I would say, like it's kind of like the Beyonce effect. I'm not sure if you're a fan or whatever, but she has like this alter ego called Sasha Fierce, and I feel like my alter ego is Gigi, and Gigi is the type to not take no for an answer, to keep going, to keep hustling. Um, I just, I think that's where it comes from. Like I've been told so many times, but that really just means next opportunity. And to break it down a little bit more, I don't really take no or rejection or whatever as personal as I used to. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm a bad actor or that I won't quote unquote make it, but it's more so the fact of it's just not my time yet or something better is going to happen, and God never lets me down. I'm telling you, every single time something didn't go my way, something better always came. So it's something that I always look forward to is that. But the way I stay optimistic and keep going is the 5-year-old Georgetta. She won't let up. I'm telling you, she won't let up. She won't allow me to rest. So yeah.
Okay, okay. Well, all right. Well, I'm gonna ask you something. Have you heard of Jay Grind's music?
You know, I think I have heard of Jay Grimes music.
What song stands out to you?
Why would you ask me that? I can't think of it, but it was the one with Jay Sam and our friend that we met on set that day.
Who?
It was that music video with Jay Sam in it.
Oh, This World Ain't Nice and Khalif.
I believe so. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that
What?
that
What?
that's
Why
what
did?
stuck out to me.
Why?
I think just the rawness that you had. But that's with most of your music, from what like little snippets that I've heard. It's just the rawness that you always give, and it just kind of reminds me of the '90s hip hop and rap, like the authentic grind and the realness of it.
Okay. How did so like that's how it resonates with you, just as an just as a
As a
person
as
listening
a
from
listener,
outside.
yes.
Yeah. That's dope.
Hmm.
That's dope to hear. So I want to say, where can the fans find you? Where can they contact you if they're looking for work or if they want to work with you? Like let them know where they can find you.
Hit me up on my Instagram, Chantilly I'm sorry, CHANTILLYBUGG, Chantilly Bug, or my Gmail, GC, and then my last name, BUGGS at gmail.com.
That's great, guys. So you already know. Look, guys, follow her. She has a lot of content going on. She is constantly working at all times. She is also out there just killing it. So, and I also want to say you are very supportive, and a lot of people are not supportive in this industry. Talk a little bit about that.
At the end of the day, in the words of Glorilla, at the end of the day got to end. But really, you're not really taking any opportunities away from me when I support you or try to put you on to anything. Like it's just, like that's how I see it. Like every person, and it's not to like be like a big headed person about it, but every person I've helped are connected at the end of the day that never took away any opportunities for me. And I like to see my people shine. You know what I mean? Like I just like to see everyone just elevate and just live their dreams and just continue just to be the best versions of themselves. Like I just love that for y'all.
That's great. That's great. That's great. Like, that's something that, I'm glad you touched upon. I think a lot of the people in the industry, or whoever's starting out or have the experience of working their way up, really have an issue doing that unless, they feel like they're losing out. So I'm glad that you said that. So again, I definitely want to thank you, Georgetta, for coming on to the Jake on podcast. Please let everybody know where they can find you once more so they don't miss out.
Chantilly Bug on Instagram or my email, GC last name Bugs, BUGGS at gmail.com. Or hit me up on Facebook. It's just my name, Georgetta Bugs.
So you already heard, she is everywhere. Look, if you're not serious, I don't think you should reach out. But if you are serious about working, really getting your really getting your experience in, really building a network and a team, she is the person to go to. All right. So thank you, Georgetta, for coming on the J Grind podcast. You already know, guys, it's J Grind from the BX Shaw. BX, we in here. Peace.
Bye bye.